How's it going, everybody? We are going to take a quick preview at the bash changes that are coming in forms of testing grounds next week. Right now, I am seeing a lot of backlash towards the sheer thought of speeding up bashes from all skill brackets, and actually for the same reasons, but not because they're agreeing on something, but simply because they don't really understand the implications of them. Speeding up bashes does have a significant impact on quite a few different interlinked things. You know that the combat mechanics in For Honor can't be looked at in a vacuum. One thing affects the other, and manipulating a little cogwheel here can quickly spiral into disaster. But let me just say one thing before we look at some of the details. The vast majority of you watching this video here will benefit from these changes. Only the very top of the reaction guys will feel a negative impact. The concept of something becoming more unreactable to you, you can't react right now, so it shouldn't matter to you whether something becomes a frame faster. Almost nothing will change in the way you play. You already live in a world where you need to make reads on the forward dodges. You cannot react to Orange now, and he won't be able to react afterwards. So nothing changes. But now your bashes will also be unreactable to the top players. This evens out the playing field, particularly in 1v1s. And that is why you see some of the top reaction players complain, because they like the current state of you not being able to react, but they can. This is almost the exact same scenario as when people want pre-CCU back, because they liked reacting. This might be a harsh comparison, but that's pretty much the gist of it from what I've seen. I will dive into how this affects ganks later in the video, because while this might not be the reason why certain ganks are out of control, it certainly acts as a bit of a catalyst for them. So, what will be tested? Right now the fastest dodge bashes are 500 ms. This will now be changed, and we will have multiple different speeds. 400, 433 and 466 are the values that you'll see. The bashes this will be tested on are all Legion Kick variations. I've used this term a lot in the past, but let me explain again. Legion Kick is Centurion's bash, and you can perform that one from 300 to 500 ms into the dodge. So the minimum amount of dodging that has to happen before the bash comes out is 300 ms. Most bashes fall into that category. Why is it tested with those? Well, the goal is to have a small warning period before the attack comes out. You see your opponent performing a forward dodge, and in your mind you now know, oh, a bash might come out. And then you can decide whether you're going to dodge or wait for the other options. Ubisoft does not want the orange indicator to be the stimuli for you pressing the dodge button. The design choice is to force a read on seeing the dodge. For everybody ideally, no exception. Newer platforms or better genetics don't play a role anymore. I mean, it's wishful thinking to a degree, but this is certainly a step towards evening the playing field. Now, what other criteria are there for the decision regarding the speed of the bashes? When is it going to be 400 or 466 or whatever? They gave us 3 categories. I talked about the other options before, so when you forward dodge and then not press the button for the bash, but a button for another forward dodge move. Here we have feintable attacks, non-feintable attacks, and no attacks. Despite them showing us these 3 categories, all of them still had 400, 433 and 466 bashes. All the no bashes didn't have a 400 ms example, but JC also explicitly mentioned that this is not a comprehensive list, so we might see more once we get full patch notes. First of all, it's great that Ubisoft has considered an individual approach here. Not all bashes are the same, like dodge attacks. But all these values make sense right now is obviously up for debate, but it's good to see we won't see some random carpet change. Let me take a few examples from each category and elaborate. From the non-feintable ones, Jungjun stands out. In case you don't remember, JJ's old kick was not performed with a dodge. It was a soft feint from his forward dodge heavy. It had, or rather still has, a unique hit animation. And that unique hit animation is also the reason why it resets hit stun. It is a really powerful confirm tool. It also has chain pressure after the confirmed light, as it's a neutral one. It's one of the stronger bashes in this category to begin with, so that one being 400 ms is probably a little questionable, especially since it's equal to Glad's punch now, a move that has no confirmed follow-up. These two are very far from the same. In general, I have no idea what Glad will get out of all of this. Maybe we'll see additional stuff on top of the speed changes. No idea. And for the feintable attack category, we'll take George here. There's currently a little bug where you can hide your dodge startup animation, making the bash seemingly come out of almost neutral. Now imagine that bash being 100 ms faster. I doubt the bug will be fixed by the time this TG hits, so expect to be absolutely pummeled by the hobo. And in the last category we see quite a big change. Conqueror got his bash nerfed. We've seen this particular change in one of his testing ground rework iterations. He doesn't have a 100 ms startup anymore, it's 300 like the rest of the cast on those three lists. It would be very peculiar if Warlord and BP got to keep theirs. In particular, Black Prior would be stupidly strong without compensation nerfs to his kit. But yeah, as I said in the beginning, these three categories don't seem to really matter all that much, as speeds are scattered all across them quite arbitrarily at the moment. I hope the devs will give more in-depth explanations of why they chose which speed, and I hope we can give proper counter-arguments as well, or maybe we even agree with some decisions. So let's talk ganks then, because they very much tie into all of this and why many of the top players are complaining about these changes. Let me just say flat out that ganks are too strong. A lot of them certainly are. And at the same time, a large majority of the player base has never actually been subjected to proper ganking. They died to many unconfirmed attacks that may look like ganks to them, but in reality are not. Yet, at the top, proper ganks are being used, and while efficient, many are regarded as just plain overpowered. To get a gank started, some move needs to land, preferably a bash. In the current state of top level For Honor, these bashes are somewhat reactable, which makes starting a gank quite hard against somebody that knows what they need to look out for. In the past, we've seen periods of time where guard breaks or undodgeable moves like Storm Rush were used to confirm and thus initiate ganks in the first place. But you all know that this feeds significantly more revenge because of tag timings. The point I'm making here is that the core problem does not lie with the bashes that initiate the ganks, but with the ganks themselves. Hitstun resetting nonsense like Storm Rush and other examples are the true root of evil, if you want to call it that. Yeah, these bash changes will exacerbate the problem, and ideally they will arrive together with additional adjustments to ganks. Whether Ubisoft finally figures out how to fix hitstun resets, or if they tinker with extra revenge gain on certain moves, I don't know, they're just a few ideas. But the ganking topic is real, and I can fully understand why the top players do not like the result. I don't like being properly ganked while not being able to react to the initiating move either. I am in that boat already, I can relate. Most of you that queue into good stacks probably can. At the end of the day, I hope they properly flesh out the bash speeds and really adjust them according to strength. Not just for duels, but also in the bigger context of when and how they are used. And ideally, these changes encompass further adjustments to not make ganking stronger. But yeah, we haven't even tested all of them yet. This is just my thoughts before the patch hits. So keep an eye out for these issues and then give proper feedback to not have some disaster again like the previous dodge changes. You can start down below in my comment section or my Discord, links on the screen if I don't forget. Having said that, I hope the video was interesting. Thanks for watching. Laters everybody.